Hey guys, Josh here with Creative Steel, and today we're going to be talking about grease. We get a lot of questions about what type of grease should I use? How do I apply it? Do I have to reapply it after I install the bushings? We're going to get into all of that today. The biggest question we get is what type of grease to use. Now we recommend using a synthetic based grease and not a petroleum based grease. Reason why is some petroleum based greases can have adverse reactions with the polyurethane, so it's best to stick with a synthetic based grease like what we sell on our website. Now this stuff is reasonably priced, and what's key is this stuff is designed for our polyurethane bushings, or for polyurethane bushings in general, but the washout, this stuff is really thick. It's thick, and so the washout, meaning when you are driving and you have, like, say, water underneath the car, it's not going to wash away from the bushings. So that's what's really key there, and you're not going to get that from like most auto parts stores or something. So we recommend just sticking with our grease. Also, when you buy bushings from us, you'll get these installation packets, so you don't have to worry about having grease on hand. We send these with every bushing, so you'll have grease to help install the bushings. Here's the proper way to apply grease for installation. Now we're going to use this here as our bore for our bushings. This could be a control arm, this could be a subframe, this can be basically anything that has a bore for bushings, right? Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to apply grease to the outside of this bushing. Number one is because you're just wasting grease. And number two, when you press both of these bushings in, you're now going to apply grease to the inside of the bushing and then the outside of the bushing tube. And the reason for that is when you start pressing this bushing tube, if you have grease on the outside of the bushing, the likelihood of this backside bushing pressing out is more likely when you apply grease to it. So install the bushings dry and then just grease the inside of the bushings and the outside of the bushing tube. There are two types of bushings: non-rotating bushings and rotating bushings. Now your non-rotating bushings, that's going to be something like a diff bushing, a subframe bushing, basically any bushing that once it's installed, it doesn't rotate. So these you don't need to re-grease after you install them. We send installation grease just for that, for installing them, to make it easy. After that, you don't have to worry about these. Now your rotating bushings, these you do need to grease. We recommend greasing them with every oil change, or if you start hearing squeaking sound. That squeaking sound is friction. So when you have friction, it's going to wear these bushings out. So we recommend, if you hear that, make sure that you're greasing these things so you get a good longevity out of your bushings, right? So let me show you how the grease goes through all these. On the end of your bolt, you've got a grease zerk. So you're going to pump grease into that, and it's going to come out this hole on the side of this bolt. Now, your bushing tube has O-rings on either end of the bore of the bushing tube. That's what seals off the grease from just coming out the sides. So once that's in there, which make sure when you're installing that bolt that you're not like rolling those O-rings. Be very careful of those O-rings, right? So as it comes out the bolt, it's going to fill in the inside bore of this bushing tube, and then it's going to come out the holes that are on either side of the outside of the bushing tube. And then it's going to travel along this crosshatch pattern that we have on the outside of this bushing tube, right? That's going to fill in all of this area, and that's what's greasing between the bushing and the bushing tube. Now there's also two flats on either side. Now that's going to allow the grease to travel along and go to the outside. So once it travels to the outside, there's grease grooves on the outside of this bushing flange. And that's when you have this up against the subframe, or sometimes we send plates, that's greasing that there. So the whole system is greased. And like I said, you want to make sure that you're greasing these things anytime you hear a squeaking sound, or when you do an oil change. That way you get a good longevity out of your bushings. And that should sum up everything there is to know about greasing our bushings. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. You can ask for me or ask for any of our technicians, and they can walk you through any questions that you have. Thank you.